Hello there everyone, welcome back to another video about some children's trading card games. Today I'm going to be talking about the Sprits Saga and One Piece card game news from this week. If you guys enjoy this sort of stuff, please do hit the subscribe button and like the video. 80% of you are not subscribed, so I'd very much appreciate if you hit that button. Also, obligatory shill for my Patreon. If you're interested in competitive content early, please do check that out, linked in the description. Let's jump right into the news. We're going to start with Sprits Saga because some pretty cool stuff has been happening. Now, if you are a Sprits Saga influencer, from what I've seen, these look to only have been happening in the US. That's my copium anyway. Bandai, please send me one. I would very much appreciate that. My cope levels are literally infinite right now. You might have gotten one of these influencer boxes. Now, I'm not going to spoil what is inside, but what I will say is I will link you here to Cosmic's video. Oh my god, I hadn't liked that. That's so embarrassing. To Cosmic's video, so please do check that out if you would like to see what is inside this. There's some really cool stuff in there, which I won't spoil, but it certainly makes me very... I mean, to be fair, he, you know, he's spoiling some of it. He's spoiling some of it himself, but yeah. So that is something that exists. I hope we see the same thing in Europe. I'm mega hoping to get one myself, and I hope that Bandai does continue. Even if I don't get one, I do hope that Bandai continues to at least be engaged with their audience. From what I've seen, most of these haven't actually gone to Battle Spirits YouTubers. I think Cosmic is one of the few who actually is a Battle Spirits YouTuber. Most of them have gone to other games, which does make sense, but it would be cool to see lots of all the people making Battle Spirits Saga content getting rewarded for actually doing that. I know there's a lot of them all over the place. Okay, so next, let's talk about some box toppers. So we have confirmation on what the 4 box toppers are going to be from the first set. So there is going to be basically these silver foil versions of cards. So there is one for each color. So the white one here is Pegacyclone. I kind of wish it was a different one. I mean, from Pegacyclone from certainly what I've been testing. In fairness, that white isn't fantastic in set 1 from the initial testing. Of course, that might change, but, you know, it does make me a little bit sad that they didn't at least go with one of the more obviously staple cards in white, or at least one of the more obvious power cards. So, yeah, I mean, this one's kind of a mid-choice to me. The next one for yellow is Angel Throne. This one, I think, is actually a reasonably decent choice. This does see a little bit of play in the Luster deck. Not a massive amount. It's very much non-essential, but I do think this is a pretty decent one. So that's the choice for yellow. For red, we have Divine Halberd Dragon Arc. This is a card that we saw lots in the demo deck, if memory serves. Yeah, I definitely think this is quite good. That neither player's life can be reduced by the 2003 BB thing is a pretty nice floodgatey effect that will definitely, you know, change in meta relevance throughout time, but certainly nice to have. And of course, the on attack is also very, very good. So I think this is one of the better ones. I think this is definitely one of the better promos to be getting. And then finally, purple getting Dark Knight Mordred. This, again, a little bit more mid, but it's definitely decent. Obviously, you play it in that sort of core removal version of purple. I don't think that version is necessarily the best, but it is something that exists, certainly, and I think it's okay. So those are the promos. Next, we had some posts about the store release events and the store tournaments. So let's start with the store release events. So I spoiled it there, but so here we got this cool little graphic, and then it says, celebrate the recent Sprits Saga at the special store event. Join your fellow summons in the first ever store tournament. Exclusive cards for all participants and the winner. So I've seen listings for these already going up. It looks like it's happening at the end of April. Yeah, April 28th through to May 12th. So I'm actually going to be in the US then. So I guess I'm going to have to try and figure out if I can go to one of these at a local US card shop. We'll see what I can do there. Maybe I'll vlog it. We'll see. But then, so yeah, there's going to be the usual thing here. Unfortunately, they're recommending a best of 1, which I don't know how I feel about that, but sure. And the participation and the winner prizes are pretty damn cool. So what do we got here? For participation, we've got this alternate art Big Bang Energy. I believe the only part of this that's alternate art is this, like, kind of foil thing in the background, but it's certainly, you know, it's definitely a good card, and, you know, I think very essential for the Star Dragon deck, so definitely quite nice to have this. And you also get one of these little life counters for participating. Now, personally, I will be using the core cards instead of the core tokens themselves, so this won't be a massive degree of use for me, but I'll hold on to it regardless. I think it's useful to have. The winner, I think, is much better, though. This winner version of Seagworm, this, I think, looks much nicer nicer than the, even though it is like this sort of 3D art, I think it looks really good. I think it looks a lot nicer than the one we have in the set. I imagine it's going to be some degree of nice textured foil. And of course you get this core case, which is available at the launch events, but you know, whatever. This is the real prize card here, and I think this is probably going to be worth a pretty penny. I think this is quite nice. And certainly if it isn't worth a pretty penny, I'll be looking to pick up Form for myself just to use, because I think it looks really, really good. So, yep, the store release event will be fun. I'm planning to go to at least one, hopefully. Then we also got some news on the store tournaments. The Battle Spirits news does not stop. So here, this is looking to be May through July. Again, they're recommending best of one, which I really don't like. Like, make it best of three. That's what you're, you know, I know stores can do whatever they want, so it's not a big deal at all. But yeah, I don't really like that. So here we've, defend your realm by participating in store tournaments, regular store tournaments, bring BSS competition to your local game store with new prizes around each main product release. So yeah, this is going to be through till set 2. So what are you getting? Well, we don't know. And this is where I want to have a little discussion. So firstly, let me just say, here it says, this is the winner pack, and then it says Alt Art Participation Card ×1, and then it says Tournament Pack here, the non-winner version, and also says Alt Art Participation Card Volume 1. So two things. Firstly, these are Zen and Zard artworks, both of them, so I'm really, really happy to see Zen and Zard artworks continuing to go into Saga. I think they are absolutely phenomenal, and I'm really happy to see this. Let's have a little discussion now about something that, you know, I can see both sides of. So, do we want... it says Alt Art Participation Cards, but apparently this is an error. Now, I'm not sure where the source is for that information, but people are saying it's an error. So, I'm going to talk about both sides of that right now. If it is an error, and these are all unique cards, is that going to get stores to sign up? Yes. Is that going to get players into stores? Yes. Is that going to be good for the player base? Yes, in terms of there being a local scene. No, in terms of the pricing. Let me explain my logic here, because as I've lived through Bandai games doing this before, and I've lived through other card games doing this before. If you want, I think, so if we look at One Piece, and we look at Cardfight Vanguard, I think those are two really good examples of the ways this can go. So, in One Piece, they do, for the first set, they did exclusive promos. Actually, from the second set onwards, it looks like it's just going to be alternate artworks. But from the first set, they did exclusive promos. And one of those cards was pretty decent, and it was fetching up to $20 to $30 per card for some time. Obviously now the card is no longer relevant, so it's not. But at this point, they've all kind of stabilized around the $5 to $10 per card range. And that's the best case for the players, right? The cards are not super good. They're fine. You can play them. And therefore, they're not a insane staple in whatever deck you are playing. And therefore, they're not going to rocket up in prices. I don't think I need to explain what supply and demand are going to do in a situation where, for example, let's say it turns out that red Nova Dragons are like tier 1 best deck in the format. I'm not saying they are, but let's say they are. And this promo releases right before a major cash tournament. There's a cash tournament, like, we know there's cash tournaments happening at launch, but let's say there's another cash tournament happening in June, let's say. So you've got 2 months to kind of get your stuff together. And if there is anything remotely like the launch events pricing of 5 figures for first place, you know what's going to happen to that promo price? It's going to go way up, because it's going to go, well, you need this to stand a chance at winning $10,000+. So yeah, I'm going to charge you $50 per promo, $60 per promo, $70 per promo. And I don't like that. I don't like this game being that expensive. Now, of course, that does mean that people are going to be in stores. It's certainly true. And maybe that's less of a big deal if there's only 1 or 2 it happens for. Of course, Bandai in the past have been known, for Dragon Ball Super, for example, to go really balls to the wall on their promos and have almost all of them be incredibly important and relevant. But usually it's at least 2 to 3 per, like, pack of 8, right? So that's my worry if they're good. Now, if they're bad, then yes, they're not going to be, and that's what happened in One Piece. So, Cards like Vanguard frequently prints very, very good promos. They fetch $60+ on the secondary market per copy, and you need 4. Let's not forget you need 4 in Battle Sprits Saga. You don't just need 3. So that's obviously the downside. The converse is, if they are not super good, more like One Piece, I sort of ask the question, why not make them alt arts in the first place? If you aren't trying to push a powerful promo card to incentivize people to go to locals, then just make it alt art and make it for people who are interested in blinging out their decks. Make it for people who are interested in collecting. I appreciate that this game does not have anywhere near the player base that One Piece is going to have on launch. Like, it's just not going to. There's a fundamental truth. But That doesn't mean there aren't going to be people interested in blinging out their decks. If they find the game fun, if they've got the disposable income, they're certainly going to be interested. And it's something that a lot more players are potentially going to want to have, right? Like, oh yeah, I'll take this cool little old art thing for this card I already play. I don't know. I think I can see both sides, because realistically, a incredibly powerful, unique promo card is going to have more draw for a store tournament. But at what cost? So we'll see what happens here. I'm hoping that this doesn't end up just being a negative for the game and one of those things you have to point to and go, yep, okay, well, you got to spend your $300 on promos to get yourself tournament ready. It doesn't affect me personally, because, I mean, to be perfectly frank, I have the money that if the promos cost that much, I'll be able to buy them. So, you know, I'm not saying this from a perspective of, oh, I can't afford it. I'm saying this from a perspective of, I don't think people should have to afford that. I think this game should be affordable, and it should come down to skill, and not having a paywall. That's my stance on this. Anyway, let's return to the rest of the news, which is going to be One Piece card game news, because we got some reveals from ST03 and ST0... sorry, not ST03, let's make this quite big here. ST0, God, what is this? 8 and 9. So, we got the SRs from both of these. So, firstly, we've got a 2-cost Uta here. What does this card do? This is a 2/3 film traded. This character cannot be KO'd by battling against a leader. So, this is actually quite good, because usually, with something of this size, it's a free swing in the early turns of the game. It's a free leader swing. Your opponent's just going to swing into it, and you're never going to protect it. However, in this situation, actually, your opponent is needing to commit a unit swing into it, which is giving you a unit to swing into with your leader. It's letting you drain your opponent's resources. So this is actually really, really nice. But then, okay, if this is all it did, it wouldn't be anything spectacular. What else does it do? Activate main, you can rest this card. Give up to one of your opponent's characters -2 cost during this turn. So I think this is really good, because black doesn't have that many early plays, but this is something you can just throw out, and it's something that it's going to let you, every single turn, if you want to, just reduce costs, enable your removal. This is great into Smoker, this is great into Zed, this is probably going to be great into whatever the Luffy leader does. I think this is a really, really good card. The worst part about it is it doesn't have counter, but black does have access to quite a lot of good 2k counters, so maybe it's less of a big deal. I do wish this just had a 1k. I don't think it doesn't strike me as so busted that it couldn't have had a 1k for now, but we'll see what the support around it is. But yeah, I think this is a very, very good card. I think this is probably the best card that got revealed. Then we got Young Shanks. So this is a 9/10. On play, you may trash one card from your hand. KO all characters with a cost of 1 or less. And this is insane. This is absolutely insane. So, as good as... I think Uta has more of this sort of, you know, generic usability. But the reason Shanks is so good... Firstly, this is the first board wipe in the game. This is the first one we have. And your initial thought is, okay, yeah, 1 or less, whatever. But remember, this is black. We have blanket cost reduction. If you have a Fujitora up, slap 1 Don onto him, and you've got your 9 left required, now you're wiping everything with 4 or less. Now, of course, this is all characters, so this is also killing your characters, unless you have something that obviously can't be KO'd, like a Smoker. If you have a Kuzan on the board, you are now KOing everything with 6 or less, essentially, which is insane. So I think this is going to be one of those ones where it doesn't even need to do that. If you just play this and it deals with all 1 or lower, that's chump blockers. And, you know, if you boost that by maybe just 1, or your opponent has a couple of 2 or 3 costs, and you can just do what you can to reduce those before you slam this down, this is going to be crazy powerful. I think this is a really nice, like, late game bomb card. It's not broken. I think this is probably at most going to be a 2 of. I really doubt you end up building around this. It's possible you do, but I kind of doubt it. I just think this is a great option for black to have. I think this is very, very good. Then we got Odin and Ace as the SRs from the Yamato starter. Let me go ahead and move this up a little bit so you can read this here. So, what does Odin do? So, obviously, I think the art is great on Odin. I think Ace looks fine, but I think the art on Odin is great. So, 7 cost, 7,000 power, Wano Country, and Kazuki family. Don 1. This character gains double attack. So, I do think one thing I do want to say is in Arlong, you can play this in a Wano Country package. So, I guess that's worth considering. So, getting double attack with 1 Don, nice, lots of pressure. On KO, you may trash 2 cards from your hand. Add up to 1 card from the top of your deck to the top of your life area. So, how do we need to think about that second effect, right? Okay, it's good pressure. Your opponent is probably going to want to kill it because it's going to be swinging with double attack every single turn. You can play it early enough on curve that it's going to be threatening. So let's think about this, okay? So when this dies, you go -2 cards in your hand. So on average, that's going to be 2 to 3k counter you're losing. But you're healing 1 life. When you take that damage, you're gaining back one of those cards you just lost. So this is essentially a discard 1 to nullify your opponent's next attack, right? So essentially, this lets you treat your opponent's next swing as like that 1 card you discard as being kind of however much counter you want it to be. That's one way to think about it. Now, of course, it's not quite that good as I can make it sound there. You do need to be discarding those cards up front, and we do need to see how well you can manage the card advantage there, but just having access to this very generic way to just heal when this card dies is very good, I think, and something that yellow is probably going to want to play. And then finally we have Portugal's D Ace. This is a 6/7, 1/0 country traded, and Whitebeard Pirates traded as well. Once per turn, if this character would be KO'd, you can trash 1 card from the top or bottom of your life area instead. Now this is a really interesting one. This one strikes me as kind of not great, but I don't know, yellow can heal enough that maybe that's worth it. Maybe it is worth just straight up losing that card from your life area. If you're playing this in potentially like, I don't know, black, yellow, big mum, you're doing a lot of healing. You're doing a lot of healing in big mum decks anyway. So I don't know, we're going to have to also see what the Yamato leader effect does, because that might make this a bit better. Certainly a very interesting effect, I think quite high costed though, for sure. I would much rather be discarding cards from my hand or something to just keep it around, but I think that would be way too good. So yeah, this is one of those ones where your opponent, if they really want to deal with it, they are going to need to just commit into it on 2 separate attacks. So I do think that is quite nice. So that is it for today's news video. I don't know why the cameras want to come back to me. No? All right. Anyway, all right. I hope you guys found this video useful. If you did, please do like the video. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think on my promo stance for Battle Sprits Saga. I am interested to see what other people have to say. Maybe you can change my mind. I'm open to that discussion. That's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please do subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next one. Cheers.